This one's a video? Man, we're getting fancy out here. Well, hold on tight and enjoy it. Thanks. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Behind the Behind. I'm Sid, your host, and we are with Niko Cook today. Niko is a DM, he's a Twitch streamer, he's a very good friend of mine, and I wanted to bring him on the show and ask him stuff that maybe you guys would want to know as well. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Sid. I'm Niko Cook, as you mentioned, brand new DM, still newer streamer, but I mean, I've been a nerd for life, repping it hard. And just,
Yep.
I don't know, man, just having a good time and glad to be on the show. So thank you for having me, man.
Of course. I mean, the only way to do these shows is to get your friends to do them for you, so you don't have to pay anybody, and it works out.
Wait, is my check not going to clear up front?
You'll get it. So when coronavirus disappears, the check will clear.
Sounds about right. Cool. Sounds good.
So what got you started wanting to be a DM?
So I think my first actual desire came in my first campaign I played. I played a monk in a very late campaign. I joined very much towards the end. And they started me off. They didn't level me up with everybody else. I was down at level 1 as they were like level 10.
What?
Yeah, no, it was insanely difficult. And so we're doing that. And the DM realized that he made a poor decision. And I wasn't really identifying my character. I didn't know what I was doing. And my buddy had just made me do it, right? He was like, hey, just come play with us. I didn't have any desire. And so we're in this session. I was playing a dwarf monk, which was interesting character design by itself.
That sounds great.
But we ended up finding this flame sword that was written in Dwarven, right? And so once that happened, and he let me have it, obviously, because I was the only dwarf there, and it lit up, and I started killing things left and right, and very much almost like jumping around and like flinging myself Yoda style.
Oh man,
killing everybody with this flame sword.
Just like wushu.
And for real, it was amazing. And I remember he was describing, of course, this sort of world, and I was very much, I felt very medieval, which I've always been, drawn to with like Renaissance fairs and things like that. So
yeah,
having an opportunity to play a character like that, and I finally connected with, was super awesome. And I've played characters past that I feel like I've connected to more, but no moment has ever been as cool and as awesome as that. Besides maybe a couple. For me, that was the highlight of everything. I finally felt I understood the draw to D&D immediately.
Mm-hmm. I get you. Like my first like myth in like that I heard as a kid that I just prayed was real. I just wanted it to be real was King Arthur.
Right?
Like the Knights of the Round Table, like trying to create a better world by just being superheroes in the medieval times. Like it was so cool, man. It was like it's because I loved Power Rangers as a kid, and I felt like they were just like knight Power Rangers. You know what I mean?
No, 100%.
Dude,
love King Arthur.
Why is that not a Power Ranger genre? Like the Power Ranger Knights?
They did, right? Didn't they have like a knight series where they had like swords and everything like that?
They have samurai.
Maybe. Well, I know they did like maybe. I really thought they had a night series. I was really bad with Power Rangers. I didn't have a chance to watch them as a kid, but I had like the action figures.
I have to look this up.
I thought they did. I thought they had like a dragon type morph suit. They did like morphin' time, and came to a dragon. I thought they had a night themed. I could be wrong.
They have Mystic Knights of Tir na Ga.
Tir na Ga.
Is that what I'm thinking of? The Mystic Knights of Tir na Ga. Dude, this is the one. This is the one that I was like oh my gosh, yes. Mystic Knights of Tir.
Oh my gosh, that brings back so many memories.
Dude, I'm gonna actually stream it through Discord so even chat can see this. We're gonna watch like a like the opening to it.
Oh, dude, let me hop over. Let's check it out.
Okay, this is going to be absolutely beautiful. Let's see, screen. Go live.
Beautiful.
All right, you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes!
Oh my gosh.
What?
What year was that? What year was that?
Let's check. 1998. 98.
That's awesome. That was a time.
That was, dude. I love that. Everything about that. I don't think the people who are listening to the podcast later will be able to see that. So please, for the love of God, go look up Mystic Knights of Tir Na Ga. It's literally Tirnaga, I think. Nagog. Sorry. Tirnanog. I need a Jamie. That's what I need. I need Jamie to help me with this.
Jamie's so great. He helps every time.
He's so helpful.
Ever.
He's such a good guy. And I'm glad that like Joe is his boss. I feel like he gets good recognition.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
So that was a huge tangent and I loved it. I'm going to try to stay more on topic.
Sure.
But how long have you been playing RPGs? And how long have you been DMing?
Have I played RPGs in general? I started playing just D&D in general back in high school. I was a sophomore in high school, I think, when I had my first D&D session.
So how long ago was that?
That would have been 8 years ago.
Dang. 8 years.
Yeah, I know. So I've been doing it for 8 years. This is my very first D&D DMing role, right?
Okay.
I have written multiple campaigns. I have like 6 campaigns on the back burner ready to go. Storylines, overarching plots, characters, themes, all of that. But they just never found the time to do them, never had the confidence to.
I see. Yeah, I mean, so I get that too. I get like stage fright when I'm like trying to DM. Because like, what if my whole thing is like, what if they don't think it's fun?
Oh, that's very much a huge concern. Always. That's my overarching themes. I want it to be enjoyable. I want it to be fun. But also, I know I have a good story. I know, in general, I know decent stories that I would like to play in. So I want to include that realm, but make it be just as much y'all's. You know, when it comes to the players, I want them to have just as much input, which is a very, I feel like, hard concept to balance out sometimes.
I want to create a lasting memory when I DM. You know, like I want people to be like, dude, remember that one time we were playing that whatever game and the DM was like describing this thing, we did this cool thing, and I can't stop playing D&D now. You know, something like that. That's like the goal always. But it's so hard to get that naturally. You just have to, you just have to have fun. You have to do it to have fun. Otherwise, I think it gets to be like a job. And like I've watched groups fall apart because of that, you know?
Very much so. No, I've definitely been in groups that we don't finish campaigns or people drop like left and right that fall to those categories where their expectations different than the DMs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's been some campaigns that are so story heavy that there's no player interaction, to a point that it causes them to feel unneeded. And then vice versa. They go, hey, we want to do this. We don't want to fight people every 2 seconds. Nobody wants to go through a dungeon and fight people constantly with no reward.
Right. No, that makes sense. Okay, so you said you played when you were a sophomore in high school. So you actually started younger than I did. I waited until I was 18, I think. I was out of high school. But when you were a kid, before you even played Dungeons and Dragons, when people mentioned it, what was like the first thing that popped into your head?
You know, you already mentioned this, but definitely the Knights of the Round Table. I mean, like, just in general, I also had a big fascination with King Arthur. One of my favorite kids movies ever was like The Quest for Camelot. And I really, really enjoyed medieval type things. So I imagine that probably some Lord of the Rings aspects, which I've still never seen, but I just very much expect those type of feels, and I think they're awesome. I mean, I used to go to the Renaissance Fair all the time as a kid and just experience that sort of like lifestyle and imagine the wittiness and the craziness of mostly
Yeah.
combat. I never imagined D&D could be as perverted as it is and never imagined it to be as just sometimes just very much face palming, as it can be at times because it's just ridiculous. But that's also some of the most memorable moments
Mm-hmm.
are those moments like that where you're like, did we really just try and solicit, this individual to get us information to break into this place to find whatever key that we need to get into this cage?
Right? Like,
I mean,
as the DM, you're like, I never thought that they would try to do this, but they're doing it this way,
yeah,
and so now I gotta scramble.
very, very much
Oh
so.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's so fun, and because you're gonna be put on your toes. What's cool is like you can literally think of as many scenarios as you can that they can get themselves into, and they'll always surprise you, and go to the one that you were like, "There's no way, there's no way. How did I not think of
100%.
this?" you know?
It's just like that last session we did with our platypus bear. That was not at all. Not at, I didn't consider that. Because for
Yeah,
me, I was like, cool, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do this, possibly this, and maybe even that. Never in a million years would I have thought animal taming and the outcome that came through. Obviously, you gotta watch the episode for that. But I mean, like, I never would have expected that.
yeah. It was that was pure D&D at that moment in time. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It was just
And I
pure
know
D&D.
I'm in a part of multiple like DM groups and like just avatar groups in general. So I was explaining what's going on and getting more feedback from people. And they're like, "Oh, you probably shouldn't have done that." But I definitely feel that was the right call. I definitely feel like that's the ridiculous type of thing that would happen in Avatar. I,
Yeah.
I feel like in those worlds and those characters and what would happen. Yes, that's a realistic answer for that time and that
If there's
show and
one
that.
thing I learned from that show is that the main characters are freaking nuts. They
Very,
get
very much
into
so.
some situations, you know what I mean?
Yeah, very,
And
very.
it was so Nickelodeon with what happened. It was absolutely perfect. It sounded scripted, but it really wasn't. It's just awesome.
I
So
can promise you it wasn't.
so speaking of that you being in DM groups and stuff, and you kind of just did your first session not too long ago. If you could go back to your first session, what would you do differently, and why?
There's a lot of changes I would make. First off, I felt like my anxiety came through a lot in that because just like you said, my goal no matter what is do you guys have a good time and for the players to really enjoy it, make it memorable. Because to me, that's my favorite parts of the game. Is very much so as I know I have a cool story and I want to make sure it's on track. At least some way, shape, or form. May not be exactly what I wrote, but that overall theme will still happen no matter what. And so I want to make sure I'm lining things up for a good start because I don't know if I'll ever get that chance again. So I feel like my anxieties came through a lot initially. I feel as though I didn't describe things as well as I would like to because in my head I visualize everything. I'm a very visual individual. So I visualize everything, but doesn't mean I describe everything I visualize. And I think that should change a little bit more, be a little bit more visual and describe things a little bit more intricate.
Okay.
And I think that'll go really well as we've talked about too. I know on numerous occasions, like the NPCs itself, make them feel more alive and
Hmm.
not very robotic. Because
Right.
again, I was focusing on so many other aspects. Again, I know in my head that's how I view them, but that's not how you guys view them because I'm not presenting that information.
No,
So
I
it's just
totally
really
get you.
combating that for sure. And I think I'm becoming more and more warmed up to how that goes. And I think hopefully within a couple sessions it'll flow like butter
Yeah.
and just molasses, right? And just be super sweet and smooth and just have a good time. So I think it definitely will get there, especially as you guys see characters come back and as
Yeah.
Duck Boys interacting with everybody. I think it'll be great.
Dude, think of it like this. Like you're just playing a game with your friends, like you're playing Rocket League with us, and you just happen to be calling some plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Very,
it.
very
You're
much
just
so.
like you're kind of a team captain, but we're also individuals in it as well.
Yeah.
And we're just there to have a good time, you know. And I get you, because I guarantee if we were to do a session tomorrow, I would be a nervous wreck if I had to like DM it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's what I try to equate it to. But yeah, it
Well, I
happens with
can say
experience. It happens with experience all the time.
exactly. I can say though, after that very first session, Zed, right? We had that second session, session one. That felt better describing a lot of things. And some things weren't as clear, but that's again over time and getting things. But my anxiety was significantly lower. The amount of preparation was a little bit higher,
Yeah,
but the anxiety was significantly less.
dude. The only like the best part is like we didn't have one single encounter,
Yeah, I know. I was
and I
very
still felt like
surprised.
we had fun. Like, you know what I mean? It was like it was really good. It was very good character building,
Mhm.
and I really like that.
No,
so
definitely.
so now that you have pretty much done a few sessions, what are some
Mhm.
rules you have now that you absolutely must have because of some game breaking thing a player has done? And also, what have you put in because you broke a game being a player?
Because I broke a game being a player. Well, first off, I think in general, being a player, I I think very much overarching in general. I'm very much outside view. I'm never in the moment. So when it comes to a player, I see a lot of times, and I've been in DM groups or CN groups, in just D&D in general, where they've brought us this encounter, this scenario, this obstacle we have to overcome, mostly with like traps and things. I've already known the answer, already know the outcomes, already know what's about to happen within the next 10 minutes. And I've learned that, so I try and make things a little bit more unique when those things will come up. And it's not black and white. It's intentionally not for a reason. Because I always read the black and white and I felt that was almost like skipping ahead.
Yeah,
So as a player, I definitely want something that's not clear cookie cutter and it's intentional. It's not gonna be all right. It's gonna have a lot of curveballs in general in the entire storyline, and that's things personally just from personal enjoyment. Because if I saw something else thrown at me or some sort of obstacle that changed my perspective on everything, that's the stuff I really enjoy. So, as a player to becoming a DM now, that's something I want to give to my players. Is something not to expect the unexpected, but they won't be able to because it's so unexpected.
right.
So, and something I'm definitely excited for, as it's definitely about to approach. In general, when it comes to rules that have been broken so far, I feel like I have. There's not been too many rules necessarily broken, but the one thing I've faced so far is I made way too weak of enemies.
Right.
I've had to change stats up on the fly significantly. A, due to the amount of players that we have in our group, and then B, due to the fact that you guys are strong. I was very lenient on that. So for future campaigns and things, I would definitely tone it down significantly actually. But in general, where we're at, I mean, it's a transition I made, so I just have to do the best I can from later. If that means numbers and stats and attack damage, all of it just has to increase from everybody across the board.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Because I always start them with like, oh, I don't want to kill. I don't want to make my players suffer in the beginning.
Hmm.
But I need to not think like that sometimes, because that's
Yeah.
some of the best parts. We're like, all right, first encounter, and I'm almost dead, guys.
Well, there's a very fine line, I feel like, with making a difficult enemy and an impossible enemy. And I think that's a very unique line and a very hard line to find at times. It really, one thing I'm learning is the amount of people significantly matter. I thought it was like a factor, but not like a significant factor if I made the enemy right.
Yeah.
No, it's a significant factor. On top of that, roles obviously you can't predict. So in general, you have to make things realistic. You want a god like move, you want a god like attack, encounter, praising you want to have, right? You want that exact scenario. gotta have those roles. So I think in general, I'm gonna make things like that a little bit harder to have going forward, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's more of
Mm,
a realistic expectation thing.
yeah.
But in general, I think it just matters about the feel, right? The world has to feel as live as it can. So if that means fudging a number or two to make things happen in a way that would, I think that's fair too. I don't think that you should rely heavily on these dice if it doesn't flow.
Mm. And it's always fine to be the DM and just fudge something if it's not going like how you think you expected, or maybe you realize that like, hey, this is getting kind of old. We can end this. I'm just gonna do this for this guy. So, oh, you critted, it instantly died. You know, wow.
I think that's so much easier in combat too, as
Yeah,
compared to like a scenario, because you don't know. You know what I mean? Like you can say you're persuading someone to do this, or to you want this scenario, you want to stealth past this person. What's your next step, right? And we have such unique individuals. Thinking 3 steps ahead of those unique individuals who throw me their own curveballs, which is not in the direction I was throwing mine, is a very spectrum of answers. So definitely have to prepare for the spectrum, which
for
is an
sure,
interesting
dude,
take.
for sure. Now I have to ask this of everybody that comes on: are you for or against the party?
I am for the party, and I think that's important because in the moments I'm against the party, I'll be heavy against the party. And so I think that's a very I would say
Balanced.
two-sided coin,
I would say
but
balanced.
well, it's not going to be. Realistically, in my perspective, I think it's 75% party, but 25% heavy anti-party, and I'm 100% okay with it, and I'll ride that very hard when it happens.
Yeah, that makes
But when it's
sense.
not, I'll definitely go full party because again, it has to be enjoyable. And if I feel like if it's not for the party that much, then it potentially won't be. It's a little bit more controlled as a group.
Right. No, that makes sense. Josh threw me a curveball. He goes, "I'm for
Oh,
the
not.
story,"
Oh, he said for the story, huh?
and I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "We're just writing a story together, you know," and I was like, "Man, he's hitting the nail on the head, because that's the goal,
Yeah,
you know, is you want to tell a
that's a good
story
idea.
that lots of people might want to play." And that
Oh
brings
yeah.
me to my next question, and I don't know if you know much about this, but like, if you ever wrote a full campaign and you had people play through it, would you try to publish it?
I think so. I think with some tweaks and things throughout, I think that'd be a great thing too. I mean, that's kind of my goal here is I want something enjoyable to tweak and find kind of a fine line to. But every person I brought this campaign to that we're playing has been ecstatic. Every single one. I've had one person actually in general be totally against it. Everybody else has been so for it. They've been excited. I've had random people ask me to join. It's such a cool, interesting concept. It's such an interesting world that it's something I wanted to play. And I think that's very important in a story and in a world in the game. So yes, my answer would be 100% yes. I want this to be published. I want people to enjoy it because I would want to play it. So why limit it? I would rather see other people's creativity and knowledge applied to it and maybe even tweak it to make it
Yeah.
something they can enjoy. 100%.
No, that's awesome. And I think we're kind of publishing it, trying to do a podcast about it. So
Definitely.
it's definitely going to happen. Whether it's a great campaign or not, we'll find out. But I think it's a great start.
Yeah.
And I do apologize to those out there that we're kind of not really set up correctly. So the first few episodes are going to be weird because we just lost the first episode completely.
Mhm.
But we'll get some stuff out for you guys pretty soon, and
Definitely.
we'll try to be a little bit better about it.
I'm really excited. I'm trying to get like multiple sessions ready to go. So whenever they're ready, they're ready. It's just so hard to plan multiple weeks ahead with our individuals on the spectrum. Very much so when it comes to the decision making. So
Are you calling me autistic?
no, 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 no. I want to be very clear. I am not. Not that there's an issue with it, but the fact that it's so hard for me to predict because I'm thinking on my story, right? So for me, all my answers are like, well, this is a pretty linear answer. Well, let's find the curveball answers. Oh, well, let's find the backwards answer and see how that works. And that's probably the answer we're gonna go with in the end when
Right.
it actually plays out. And it's just just where we're at. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I love watching the chaotic mess that's created from you guys. It's been so fun so far.
So that sounds like that might be like your favorite part about DMing. But when you're playing a character, what is your favorite part?
My favorite part is that's so hard. I think my favorite part of playing a character is when you have that moment that you visualize it too. And it doesn't have to be just a scene. It doesn't have to be just a setting. It can purely be, like you watch the final blow of this boss that you spent 10 turns bashing. You're on 1 HP and you're like, oh God, I'm about to go down. And you watch this person take that stab through, or that really happens. Like they get that kill, or maybe you watch somebody die, and it's your co-player, right? They've been with you for sessions on sessions. You've built rapport with them, and they travishly they just savagely die in a horrible, very horrific, potentially, but just really visual effect. And for me, I'm like, oh wow, you feel it. You feel those heartstrings. You feel the emotion attached to it, because it's not just a game anymore. It's not just a player. It's something that you identify with, and at least a certain range and skill, right? So it's a very fun way to embrace different sides of yourself, and experiencing those moments are wonderful and horrible and amazing all at the same time. It's like watching a movie that you are part of and creating the entire time.
Dude, beautiful. That's beautiful. That's really good. I like that.
What's your favorite part so far? Being a player. What's the part you look forward to the most?
It's like getting to be something else. Not necessarily someone else, because each character is just an extension of you. So it's just getting to be you somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you just you're literally getting to like storytell a person's life.
Very, very much agree.
I feel like a whole campaign is a series of books, and while the DM is writing each book, each player is writing like the chapters in between, and it's like it's super cool.
I definitely agree. I definitely feel as though you're part of the story. You're part of this saga that takes place, and the events are determined a lot by the DM, but also by you. You're such a heavy hand in this story, and it's expressing yourself in maybe a form you're not used to, or maybe it's the exact form that you are. But no matter what, it's still a portion of you and a part of you that you're expressing through this amazing tale that somebody else decided to write for your enjoyment, not for theirs, for your enjoyment. End of day, you're experiencing something because they thought you would enjoy it. Not just them, it's always for the players themselves too.
Yeah. Dude, I remember when my character died in one of the campaigns. I got charged by a rhino.
Mm-hmm.
And it did so much damage that it killed my character. But I was trying to be a peacemaker in like this whole thing, and the negotiations didn't go well, and I still didn't want to like hurt anybody until I really had to, and I didn't pull out my weapon until I was halfway down on my health.
Oh wow.
So that was like, so I was really hurt, and like our party was kind of separated, so the healer couldn't get to me in time because the rhino came, and I died, and it was so sad. But it was so cool. Like, it was so like, because like even the DM was like, "You're before your god. Do you want to ask him for a second chance?"
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't think my character would.
Interesting.
Because my character was a pastor.
Yeah.
But he was also an inquisitor as well. Like he was
nice.
Wow. But he was an older gentleman while everyone else was younger. He was in his 40s.
Oh, okay. Definitely
so this was like his promotion in his like kingdom of going with this like adventuring group, because he's been a pastor in a small town for a long time, and so this is like his last hurrah pretty much, because he's old, and then he freaking dies. And it was just like, whoa, okay. And that's why I didn't think he would come back, because, you know, he lived a great life. He died doing exactly what he was supposed to be doing. And it was like, you can't go back from that. You know, once you finally like get to stop carrying all that weight as a human, it sounds beautiful. And so that's the only decision I can come up with. And all the players are like, what? What are you doing? Try. And I was like, I honestly don't think he would, guys. I'm sorry.
That's such a hard scenario. I know. Remember, I played a session 0, and I died in session 0 with a character. We faced a dragon, and I critically failed hard, and then I had to roll like the D100, you know, see where I landed, and I got like a 1 on it or something ridiculous. It was like the lowest that you could possibly get, and in this scenario, the DM described me one hit killing this dragon because I rolled crit on my damage.
Oh,
And so I one hit killed this dragon through its Achilles heel, striking up with my sword. I was a dark paladin, right? Very emo, very type personality.
yeah.
And I straight up I stabbed him, and he just crushed and killed me. And so I remember just being like, that was really badass, but also at the same time, what the hell? I have to do another character sheet.
He has a twin.
We ended up. I don't think we made it past session 0 on that campaign, but it. I remember just being like, "Dude, dang it!" But also, that was so cool. I just died to a
Spawn
dragon
kill.
It, yeah, exactly. Though, man, it was like our very first encounter ever. It's like, it's a dragon.
Yeah.
A dragon.
So I'm gonna move over to some streaming questions. You guys. He is also a streamer, not just a nerdy guy that plays D&D. So what got you interested in streaming?
So I've been interested in streaming for a small period of time, but it always fell outside of my range, right? It wasn't until honestly talking with you more and you tell me you're interested into it, I was like, oh, that's a possible thing that people can just jump into. I'd never seen something that was attainable.
Yeah.
And so when you started doing it, and I was very much intrigued, like, oh, show me something, please. And so I became very excited because I love gaming and I love having the opportunity to, you know, kind of share that and watch people that are decent at games. And I don't feel like I'm decent at every game at all, but that's also kind of the fun part is I'm the average individual. You know, I'm the person who's normal playing these games that maybe you don't have the opportunity to, or you're interested in, or just in general, your feedback and your answers is probably where I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And so your reactions are where mine are. And sometimes they're over the top and sometimes a little bit out there, but that's kind of the fun part is just expressing yourself and being a little bit more of a extroverted version of yourself. So that's something I really enjoy personally.
Yeah. And I think it takes these introverted people that want to be extrovert, and it gives them a platform to do so.
Definitely.
You know, and from the comfort of your own home, you know, so that social anxiety of having to go meet people at a bar and stuff, like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
You just, it's so literally, you create a community, you create a network of friends. That's exactly what it is.
It's so great, and I didn't know how awesome that networking would be. It's definitely one of my favorite parts. It's something I want to pursue more career-wise in general is networking. But doing it to an avenue that I love, an avenue that I personally enjoy and I'm a part of, which is gaming and being around like-minded people and expressing more of that, or even like a differing view, is wonderful. It's so great to be a part of that.
Right. Okay. So when you first started streaming, which wasn't too long ago, what were your expectations compared to where you're at now?
My expectations initially were probably higher than they should have been. For myself, I was very ambitious. I'm like, oh man, we're gonna hit the top, you know, soon because we're just interesting people. Well, that's not necessarily true when it comes to how that works on Twitch. I do definitely think we're interesting. I do definitely think we're interesting. I do definitely think that we enjoy each other and that when we game in general, it's nice. You know, it's a good feel, it's a good time. It's never supposed to be just stressful and unenjoyable.
Yeah.
Again, that's not what I like watching. So why would I watch that with somebody else?
Right.
So when it comes to that, it's definitely something I think I had higher expectations on how quickly things would go.
Hmm.
But then at the same time, once I learned that very quickly that it was not where it's going to be, I feel like I found more of myself in my voice, and now it's starting to grow because of that. Because I feel like it's more natural for me, and it's just been fun. It's been a lot of fun enjoying and meeting new people and being part of these different groups, and just having a chance to experience other streamers and everybody else who's like, hey, we're all going for the same goal, and it's nice because everybody uplifts each other for the most part. It's very, very
Yeah,
nice.
dude, my expectations were very low. I feel like I've far exceeded them already, and I'm just like happy. I'm just enjoying the ride. I'm just like, oh, cool. I'm on a raft and I have no control through my paddle. But it feels good. It feels fun. I thought I was just gonna get to play video games that people would want to watch, and then I can maybe hang out. Because I always loved playing video games, but like one thing I learned, like started feeling when I used to play video games, like before I met you guys, is like it's kind of boring when you're not doing it with people you care about.
Yeah.
Or at least people that you have stuff in common with, people that can grow to be friends. And it's kind of like boring after a while, because like, oh, look, I'm the best. So who you telling,
Very, very much so.
And so it's a great way to meet people who have like the same taste you do in something that you are passionate about. Because video games, man, it raised all of us. You know what I mean? We were raised off our video games. We learned stories through our video games. That's where we're at. And now we get to share that with other people, and that's really fun.
Definitely. I definitely feel that passion, right? Exactly. It's some things that race. It's something that's always been a part of us from playing my initial Doom. I was playing back on the PC, or the original, the Amazing Spider-Man coming through, right? Awesome games, and just experiencing that, and Max Payne, I remember playing for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and just now I get to play with people that are excited about these new games and these new stories, or see things that like I never got a chance to experience in games that
Exactly.
are coming to fruition. And now I'm coming to it with other players who maybe don't have that opportunity to view it, but now they do, right? They have an opportunity to experience it through somebody and just enjoy those moments. And you just with a community of people and friends, our friend group especially, who's so supportive. Uh, it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I definitely really enjoy gaming. It's more than just, oh, I'm gaming. No, no, no. It's interacting with friends. That's my social outlet a lot of the times is with you guys, is through gaming and through us hanging out and just enjoying each other. And when I stream, it's now doing it through a separate audience, but it doesn't mean that it's not enjoyable. It doesn't mean it's not something I still look forward to. And
Yeah.
like everything else, you'll need a break from it every now and then, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's so nice. It's a nice weight lifted feeling. Oh yes, I'm streaming today. I'm doing this today. I'm hanging out with these people today. We're gaming. We're having a good time.
Yeah. Dude, it's changed the world. It's become a really big source of kindness in a world that is not full of kindness at all. And I think it's just absolutely great. I mean, I'm sure there's times that it's not so great, but you get over that stuff and you move on. And there's just so many different communities that there's a place for everybody. Everybody. Dude, it's huge. I think it's bigger than a lot of people give it credit for. If you could start completely all over again, like if you woke up tomorrow and you were back to the day you're going to do your first stream, or the week before it, what would you do differently?
That's a great question. I don't even remember what my first stream was.
With the knowledge you have now, yeah.
I think game selection is important. I think you have to enjoy the game you're playing, but also it has to be something that people enjoy watching too. At the end of the day, so I think game selection is really important. I like kind of what I'm doing now, which is informing people that I'm streaming. Because in the past, I was like, if people find me, it's so hard to find people. Just let me let people know I'm here. So I definitely think that's something I think it's important doing now, is announcing that. And it's like having like the Twitter page, for instance, and following other people on Twitter that I'm interested in, that I watch, and that I'm also trying to support all these other young streamers, and they're trying to get their name out there and grow their channels just like I am. So supporting each other is something I definitely think I should have done earlier. And I think if I could start over, I would. I think it's something like, hey, I'm reaching out to these people, I'm watching them, I'm following them, and now I'm growing my own channel. Hey, I'm deciding to do it too. I love what you guys do. I love your content. Let me do it my way. Again, it's just like taking a story or taking a piece of literature that somebody else has and just making it your own. So I definitely think it's wonderful. That's definitely something I would do more of, is that, and just also, I think, just include my friends. Just
Yeah.
have something, because again, I like you. I very much am social when I game, and I have to. If I'm gaming by myself for hours, it's fun, but I can't do it consistent. I can't. I need that personal interaction. I need that voice. I need
Right.
something there. And with channels, you can do that, but it's not the same as when you game with somebody. It's just not.
Right. No, it's yeah. That's a really good idea. If you were to go back, definitely just start playing with friends mostly. Mine is I would probably just be more consistent. I wasn't very consistent when I first started. It's when I started being consistent that it actually started like happening. Like you start progressing forward, and I was like, "Oh, I'm actually seeing growth."
Yeah.
And as long as you like stick to what you do and you don't try to be something you're not, and you just be consistent, you'll always grow, I feel.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think with effort and time, I think things will show in general. And I think especially your channel is really growing to this point where it's exciting, and it's definitely on a potential to just trail off, right? Just keep going, just keep going. And so I'm really excited to see that growth. I'm excited to see it just continue to go. So it's
Right.
definitely on a great path.
So say you have a friend, and this friend is thinking about it, but they're not quite sure.
Mhm.
What advice would you give them?
I would definitely tell them to go for it in general. I feel like if I enjoy these personalities, why wouldn't others, right? If I enjoy really gaming with individuals on certain games, why wouldn't others enjoy those moments? And I think that shows with all of our friends that have recently, especially, have started. Hey, I kind of want to do this too. I like what's happening with you guys. I want to be a part of that. And I think that's contagious, right? When you're yourself and things are growing and things are just having a good time, right? People want to be a part of that. And so I think when people ask that question, it's like, man, I don't really know. Yes, I think you definitely should, because I enjoy your company. Why would you, just disrespect yourself like that? Why wouldn't you give yourself this opportunity to do something? If you enjoy it, then do it. And you think you'll be great at it, or even if you don't, I can tell you probably will be. Because again, people just want genuine people.
Right. No, that's good. That's great advice. That's very very encouraging. So, I think we all have one, but what is the weirdest story that you have from streaming?
Weirdest story. Well, um, I don't know about a weirdest story. I I definitely have found that people that like follow me aren't exactly how I picture them in their head, right? So like I'll be hearing their voice as I'm reading out their comments and things, and I get a chance to listen to them. Like, oh, that's not at all who I thought they were. You're really now you're putting a voice to a name, and kind of building up that person, right? So when it comes to like the weirdest story, I think the closest thing is I found out my youngest sibling, who's 12, had invited all of his friends to watch me stream. And so I
That's
had just
cool.
a bunch of 12-year-olds in my stream. And I didn't realize it in the moment. I was cursing a lot. And I know I got a text from my mom. She's like, hey, he's watching you with all of his friends. I'm like, and I like really, really cut it back. Just realizing more of my audience,
Oh, darn it.
Exactly. And it was like one of those things. I think we were playing like ranked in a game, so I was really getting
Rocket
into
League.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm always trying unranked because this is fun. That's I feel like the enjoyment of it, but at the same time,
That's the only game that's gotten me to curse on stream.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Mine
It- yeah.
is back when we were still living in McKinney, I was streaming, and my chat got filled up with like like 10 to 12 like Russian people, and they only spoke Russian, but they stayed for like an hour and a half.
Nice.
And I was like, cool. I don't know what you guys are saying, but I really appreciate it. They all followed. It was like, okay.
That's awesome, man.
I was like, what is happening? I was so like confused, and I felt good about it. It was absolutely fun.
That's so awesome. I what a unique scenario to be in.
Okay, so do you have a D20 near you?
A D20? Actually, yeah, I do. D20.
All right. When you get a chance, or here in a second, we're gonna both roll. I'm rolling on Google. It's failed me constantly, but I will share my screen so that you can know I am not cheating.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to do a D20, and this roll is going to be for the person that's going to get to Grand Champ first.
Oh, dude, I'm down. Let's see it.
Okay, it's just be a straight 20. So you go. I'll let you go first since you're the guest.
Oh, wow, that's actually a good roll. I'll kind of show you. It's a mess down here, but that's an 18.
Oh, here we go. 8. It looks like you will get Grand Champ first. That is awesome. All right. Well, okay, Niko, anybody that you want to shout out on the podcast?
Oh man, there's so many people. I want to thank my mom, obviously, for everything great. For always being there supporting me. My family, my friends. Good boy, he's amazing. Obviously, everybody give him a follow if you can't. Obama, he's great. We'll miss you terribly. Besides that, Jesus, there you go. I think I got everybody. I think I named every. That was close, man.
Any streamers besides me that you feel like giving shout outs to?
Oh, every person that follows me, first off, is amazing. In particular, people, Happy Turtle's amazing, right? Definitely a great guy. We got Buddha Meds, who's been wonderful. Hadoken has been fantastic. Great streamers in general, very unique content. I feel like I'm on the spot right now. Those are definitely, I feel like, the people that like I interact with the most and definitely appreciate a lot. Obviously, yeah. I've already said it, but good boy for real is awesome. Lauren's really starting up her channel and going. Ghosty's doing phenomenal. Trouble Ghosty. They're really about to they're on that incline really heavily. So I'm very excited.
Listeners, if you feel like you want to join us, just come to one of our streams. Either at GoodGoodBoy123 or ZoloRules with a Z, TTV, all one word. And you can get a hold of us, get you in the Discord, we'll get to know you, we'll play some games. It'll be a good time.
Most definitely.
And Niko, where can people reach you?
So you guys can reach me as well. I have a professional email if you need to reach out for me with any sort of business needs at ZoloRulezTTV@gmail.com, as well as I have my own Discord at ZoloRules, right? It's called my server. It's linked at my TTV. So please come out, join it. You can follow me on Twitter at ZoloRules, or you can find me on, of course, just Discord in general. Feel free in game at any point and reach out. Goodbye and I are always gaming together. So thank you so much for having me, man. This is awesome.
Dude, thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it. It was a good time. And we're going to have to do another one after we play some more and you get to DM some more. It'll be like a then and there. I think, callbacks are always appreciated. Rotating characters,
Most definitely. You gotta feel that theme. So I'm definitely all about it. Feel free and have me back.
All right, folks. Well, you can reach me at GoodGoodBoy7 on Twitter. Any shout outs about the podcast or anything. Pretty soon this podcast will be out on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, all that good stuff. And you can find it at Behind the Behind. And that'll be it. Thanks for listening.